There are stories that fade with time. And then there are stories that refuse to die, stories that keep returning in whispers, in memories, in unexpected moments. For millions of fans around the world, the connection between Can Yaman and Demet Özdemir is exactly that kind of story. It doesn't matter how many years have passed. It doesn't matter how many projects they've done separately. It doesn't matter how far their lives seem to have drifted. Because for the people who watched them, admired them, and believed in them, their love never ended. It simply stopped being spoken. And yet, it still sings. It sings in the way people talk about them. It sings in every old clip that resurfaces online. It sings in every scene that still gives fans goosebumps. It sings in the quiet moments of interviews when their names accidentally intersect. It sings in the silence they both keep, the silence that says more than any words could ever say. Fans always describe it the same way: it wasn't acting. You can't fake something like that. And deep down, even people who don't believe in fairy tales felt it. There was something real there, something delicate, something powerful, something that looked dangerously close to love. Their chemistry wasn't loud. It wasn't forced. It wasn't the kind that demanded attention. It was the type that whispered. The type that said everything in a look. The type that lived between gestures, between breaths, between tiny moments no script could ever fully control. The kind of chemistry you don't create, you feel. And that's why, even after all these years, fans still hold on to the belief that the story of Can and Demet didn't end, it just paused. Because love like that doesn't disappear. It lingers. It hides. It transforms. It waits. People still replay their scenes not for nostalgia, but because the emotion inside them still feels alive. They rewatch their interviews not to analyze words, but to see the spark that used to flicker in their eyes. They follow their lives not to invade their privacy, but because they truly believed, and maybe still believe, that the two of them were meant to create something bigger, something lasting, something timeless. And then there's the music. The countless edits fans make. The background songs chosen. The montages. The lyrics that somehow always match Can and Demet's journey perfectly. One fan once wrote, "They're not together anymore, but every love song still fits them." That line spread everywhere, because it was true. When a song speaks about longing, people think of them. When a melody talks about unfinished feelings, hearts go directly to their story. When a chorus rises with the ache of two people who should have had more time, fans see their faces. Because their story is a song that never had a final verse. It ended on a comma, not a period. It paused on a breath, not on closure. And that is what makes it eternal. Even if Can and Demet moved on, even if their paths took different directions, even if life wrote chapters they never expected, the song remains. Soft. Quiet. But still alive. A song that belongs not just to them, but to everyone who felt something while watching them. A song the fans still hear today. Long after the camera stopped rolling. Long after the lights dimmed. Long after the final scene was filmed. Something stayed. And no matter how much time passed, no matter how many new roles they played, no matter how different their worlds seemed to become, the echo of their connection never faded. It followed them like a shadow, not heavy, not dark, but familiar. A gentle reminder of something shared, something once alive, something that left a mark too deep to erase. People often say, some on-screen pairings work because of talent. Some work because of chemistry. But a few, a very few, work because the hearts behind the characters forget to stay out of the way. And that's what many believed happened with Can and Demet. There was a softness in their laughter, a truth in their silences, a vulnerability in their eyes that didn't feel like acting at all. There were moments where the scene ended, but the emotion didn't. Moments where they looked at each other a second too long, where the world blurred, where the script simply disappeared. And fans noticed everything. Every breath. Every smile. Every pause. Every spark. These weren't just scenes. These were feelings captured on camera. And even today, years later, you can watch those scenes and still feel the electricity that once passed between them. You can feel the tenderness. You can feel the longing. You can feel the almost love, the one that felt so close, so possible, so real, and that never truly got its ending. That's why their story lingers. Because people don't hold on to moments that feel fake. They hold on to moments that feel true. Moments that look like they were never meant to be shared with the world, but accidentally were. And whenever fans talk about them now, they say the same thing: they changed each other. You can see it. You can feel it. It wasn't loud. It wasn't chaotic. It wasn't the stormy kind of connection. It was the quiet kind. The kind that grows slowly. The kind that stays even when it shouldn't. The kind that follows you into the next chapter of your life, even if that chapter doesn't include the person anymore. People still post clips from their old interviews, where one would look away too quickly, or smile at something the other said, or blush at an unexpected compliment. The internet turns those tiny moments into stories, not because fans are delusional, but because the emotion in those clips feels too honest to ignore. You can't erase that kind of truth from memory. And that's why the love song never ended. Because even when the verses stopped being written, even when life moved forward, even when separate paths became the new reality, the melody stayed behind. It stayed in the hearts of people who believed in them. It stayed in the eyes of those who watched their story unfold. It stayed in the silence between them whenever their names are mentioned today. The echo may be softer now, but it is still there. A quiet reminder that some stories don't end. They simply wait. Ask any fan, not one of them can clearly explain why this story stayed alive for so long. Why this connection, out of all the countless pairings in the industry, left a mark so deep that people still talk about it today. But if you look closely, if you go back and watch the moments that weren't scripted, you start to understand. Because there were scenes between Can and Demet where the world around them seemed to disappear. Moments where they looked at each other the way people look at someone they're afraid to lose. Moments where their smiles came too fast, their eyes softened too naturally, their hands found each other too effortlessly. These weren't rehearsed. These weren't written by a writer. These were the accidents, the beautiful accidents, that happen when two people forget they're performing. There's one clip fans always bring up, a behind-the-scenes moment, short, ordinary, nothing important. Demet is laughing at something Can said. Not a polite laugh. Not an actress laugh. A real one, the kind that breaks out before you can control it. And for a fraction of a second, Can doesn't react like a co-star. He reacts like a man watching someone he cares about being happy. His smile lingers. His eyes soften. His expression turns warm, almost protective. It lasts only a moment, but the internet replayed that moment millions of times, because something about it felt real. There were dozens of these tiny moments. Little things fans caught, things most people would overlook, the way he'd look at her when she wasn't looking, the way she'd blush when he complimented her, the way their conversations flowed effortlessly, the way their bodies naturally leaned closer, the way their energy changed when they were in the same room. Chemistry is easy. Connection is rare. And that connection, whatever it really was, is the reason fans still hear the love song when they see them. Because love doesn't always show itself loudly. Sometimes it's in the stolen glances, the quiet pauses, the softness that slips through when two hearts recognize something familiar. Even today, when interviews bring up the past, you can see it, that brief flicker in their eyes, that split-second mix of nostalgia and emotion. It's not dramatic. It's not obvious. It's not something they verbalize. But it's there. A subtle current between them, an unfinished sentence, a melody that stopped before the last note. And that's what makes it timeless. Because the most powerful love stories aren't the ones that end with closure. They're the ones that leave the door slightly open, the ones that linger, the ones that feel paused, the ones people can't help but return to. The fans didn't imagine their connection. They felt it. In every scene. In every interview. In every silence. And that's why the story won't disappear, because emotions like that don't vanish. They settle deep, waiting for the day when life decides whether they become a memory, or a second chance. When people talk about Can and Demet, they always focus on the past, the chemistry, the interviews, the behind-the-scenes moments. But the truth is, one of the strongest parts of their story is the silence that followed. Because silence, real, heavy silence, only exists where deep emotion once lived. If two people feel nothing, they move on easily. They talk freely. They address the past without hesitation. But when a story meant something, when a bond leaves a mark, when two hearts carry memories they don't want exposed, that's when silence becomes the loudest language. And that's exactly what happened between Can and Demet. Neither of them denied anything. Neither of them explained anything. Neither of them offered closure. They simply let the silence speak for them. And fans? They heard everything inside that silence. They saw it in interviews, the brief pause before answering a question, the careful tone, the softened expression that betrayed a memory. They saw it in public events, how their names, when mentioned, caused a shift in energy, a flicker in the eyes, a momentary breath held just a little too long. They saw it in how both of them avoid discussing each other in detail, not out of coldness, but out of respect, maybe even protection. Because sometimes silence isn't distance. Sometimes silence is feeling too much. There's a reason people still rewatch their old clips. A reason fan edits still go viral. A reason every rumor about the two of them explodes across the internet instantly. It's because deep down, fans know, that song was never finished. Even when life took them in different directions, even when new projects and new people entered their worlds, even when time pushed them forward. The emotional thread between them never fully broke. And it shows. In the way Demet talks about certain periods of her life. In the way Can avoids certain questions. In the way neither has ever said a bad word about the other. In the way their old scenes still feel alive, not nostalgic, but current, as if the emotion inside them never truly aged. People often ask, if they were so connected, why didn't they end up together? But love isn't a straight line. It's timing. It's circumstance. It's maturity. It's fear. It's pressure. It's life. Sometimes two people feel something real, but life isn't ready for them yet. Sometimes the world gets in the way. Sometimes careers rise at the wrong moment. Sometimes hearts aren't aligned at the same pace. And sometimes, a story pauses. Not ends, pauses. And that's why fans still wait, still hope, still believe. Because nothing about their story feels closed. Their silence didn't kill the love song. It preserved it. Kept it suspended. Kept it untouched. Kept it in that place where emotions stay pure, unspoiled by explanations or excuses. Some stories stay beautiful precisely because they were never forced to end. And maybe, just maybe, this is one of those stories. There are stories that close neatly, with clear endings, clear answers, clear chapters. But then there are stories like Can and Demet's. Stories that feel like unfinished melodies, left hanging in the air, waiting for the moment life decides to press play again. Because no matter how much time has passed, no matter how many new projects, new cities, new lives they stepped into, their connection never felt fully over. Fans sensed it. Journalists sensed it. Even people who don't follow celebrity news could feel it, that invisible thread still humming quietly between them. It shows itself in unexpected ways. In the songs people choose for fan edits. In the way their old scenes still top YouTube searches. In the nostalgia that rises anytime their names appear in the same sentence. In the way people still say they were different with absolute certainty. Because they were different. They were a moment in time that felt magical, unplanned, undeniably real. A kind of connection you can't create, only discover. And when something that powerful appears, it leaves a stain on the heart, a melody that continues playing even when the music stops. That is the heart of their story. Not the drama. Not the rumors. Not the speculation. But the feeling, the soft, quiet, delicate feeling that still lingers in the spaces they once shared. Even today, when fans talk about them, they don't speak with bitterness or disappointment. They speak with something else: longing, curiosity, warmth, hope. Hope that maybe someday, even if life takes its long way around, the two of them will cross paths again, not as actors, not as characters, but as the two souls who once created magic together without even meaning to. Hope that the song that began years ago might still have a final verse waiting somewhere in the future. Because the truth is this: some love stories don't end, they echo. And Can Yaman and Demet Özdemir's story is one of those echoes. An echo that grows softer, but never disappears. An echo that reminds people what chemistry looks like when it's born, not built. An echo that returns whenever a love song plays in the background, pulling the heart back to a time that felt light, warm, effortless. And so the world keeps watching. Not obsessively, but affectionately. Not demanding closure, but cherishing what was. Because Can and Demet gave people something rare. The kind of connection you remember years later and still smile about. The kind of connection that becomes a song. One without an ending. One that still plays, softly, quietly, in the hearts of everyone who felt something real watching them. Maybe they will never say it aloud. Maybe the world will never know every detail. Maybe the truth will always live between the lines. But what everyone can feel, what everyone still senses, is that their story didn't fade. It transformed into something timeless. A love song that never truly ended. A melody that still breathes in the memories, in the silence, in the way fans talk about them today. And whether life ever brings them back together or not, their song will keep playing. For them. For the fans. For everyone who felt something real watching them. Some stories are written on paper. Theirs was written on hearts. And that's why it will never disappear.